All right, welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're going to conduct a pretty forensic analysis of a single, incredibly powerful verse from the Qur'an. This one verse, it just opens up a whole universe of meaning about justice, reality, and what it means to be held accountable on the Day of Judgment.
So let's start with the verse itself, the one at the very heart of our study. This is Surah Al-Aʿrāf, verse 8. Right away, it lays out two core concepts for us, al-wazn, which is the weighing, and al-haq, the truth. Now this verse isn't just talking about some event far off in the future. It's really setting the stage for this profound exploration of what truth even is, what's real, and what ultimate success actually looks like.
Okay, so to really unpack all the intricate layers of this verse, we're going to move through these 6 sections step by step. We'll start with the foundational ideas and then build our way up to some of the most complex theological questions that the source material tackles.
All right, let's jump right in. To really get this verse, we first have to deconstruct its building blocks. We've got al-wazn, the weighing, the measure, and al-haq, the truth. But what does truth really, truly mean in this ultimate context?
You see, the source text is really specific about this. Al-haq isn't just some abstract idea about being correct. No, it signifies something with tangible reality, with substance, something that has objective existence. The verse says the weighing is truth, which is huge. It means the whole process is designed to reveal and measure what is fundamentally real about a person's life and what's not.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because the source text immediately draws this sharp contrast between haq and its opposite, batil. Batil means falsehood, vanity, emptiness. It's described as something with no external reality, no substance, nothing to it. It leaves no trace in the world of true existence. It's fundamentally empty.
And check this out, because this completely reframes the whole idea of judgment, doesn't it? This isn't just about good versus bad, it's about real versus unreal. The Day of Judgment is presented as a day where all the illusions just fall away, and only what is real, only what is true, only what aligns with haq has any value, any weight at all. It really makes you stop and think. Are the things we're chasing built on solid ground, or are they just hollow forms that will ultimately blow away and prove weightless?
So naturally, this brings up a huge question, one that the exegesis asks directly. If this scale is measuring truth and substance, what are we actually putting on it? Is it a literal object? Is it an abstract concept? What is it? And the source material really digs into this.
Well, the scholars, looking at different narrations and interpretations, came up with 3 main possibilities. First, it could be the scrolls, the records where a person's deeds are written down. Second, and this is a concept we're going to explore in a bit, it could be the deeds themselves, literally giving a physical form. And third, and this is such a powerful idea, it might be the person themselves. Your very being, your soul, becomes heavy with truth or light with falsehood, reflecting the real substance of your character. Okay, so now that we've got a handle on what's being weighed, the next logical step is to ask, why? What's the point of this whole cosmic scale, and more importantly, how does it tell the difference between how an action looks on the outside and what's really going on in the inside?
Now, you might be thinking, and it's a great question that the text brings up, if God is all-knowing, aware of everything, seen and unseen, then he already knows the reality of every single action and every soul. So why have this big public weighing? It kind of seems unnecessary, right?
Well, the analysis gives us a few really profound reasons, and it's not what you might think. See, the weighing isn't for God to learn something. It's for us. It's for creation. It's a perfect manifestation of justice, so the person being judged sees with their own eyes the result of their choices. It's a public testimony for everyone to witness, making a person's inner reality totally external. And in the end, it leaves absolutely zero room for argument or denial. It's ultimate radical transparency.
So here's the absolute crucial point. The divine scale is not fooled by appearances. It cuts right through the outward form of any act, whether it's a prayer, an act of charity, a kind word, to measure its internal degree of haq, its truth, its sincerity, its reality. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's not just what you did, but the reality of what you did that matters.
And the source uses this really powerful example to explain it. Think about a prayer. Outwardly, 2 prayers could look exactly the same. Same movements, same words. But one might be done with total presence, sincerity, and a real connection to God. That one is heavy with truth. The other one could just be a hollow mechanical ritual. It's formally correct, sure, but on the inside it's empty. And so, on the scale of haq, it's completely light, totally weightless. Okay, so we've covered the what,
and the why. Now let's get into the scale itself, al-mizan. The source presents a few different layers of meaning here, suggesting it's not just some simple instrument, but a really profound concept.
The first idea is super interesting because it's deeply personal. It's internal. It suggests that the scale, al-mizan, is actually the fitra, that pristine primordial nature that God has built into every single human being. It's our innate moral and spiritual compass. So in this view, you're not judged against some external arbitrary standard. You're judged against the purest version of yourself, the person you were created to be.
And this idea isn't just pulled out of thin air. The source text grounds it in other verses from the Qur'an. This verse here, from Surah Al-Aʿrāf, it reinforces this whole concept of a God-given innate disposition, the fitra, as the original, uncorrupted blueprint for humanity. It's the standard against which our lives are ultimately measured.
Now, there's another take on this, a second interpretation that's drawn from specific narrations cited in the source. This one suggests an external standard. Here, the scales aren't an object or something inside of us, but they are the perfect human examples, the prophets, and, in this particular theological view, the infallible imams. According to this interpretation, our actions and our character are weighed in comparison to them. They are the living, breathing embodiment of the scale of truth.
All right, this next concept is one of the most mind-bending ones in the whole analysis. It's called tajassum al-a'mal, which basically means the embodiment or the manifestation of deeds.
The source explains that on the Day of Judgment, our actions from this life, all the abstract stuff like our kindness, our lies, our prayers, they won't be abstract memories anymore. They will be given a real, tangible, physical form that perfectly mirrors their inner nature. Good deeds, the ones aligned with truth, will show up in a beautiful form, and evil deeds, the ones rooted in falsehood, will manifest as something ugly and repulsive. We will literally be standing there surrounded by the reality of our own choices.
And it's not just a simple good or bad thing. The source says this process is incredibly detailed. The final embodied form of an action will include everything: the initial intention, the hidden motives, the visible act itself, and even its long-term ripple effects out in the world. All of it gets baked into its final form and weight. That is a sobering thought, isn't it? Every choice we make is literally building something real in another dimension.
Okay, now we're getting into the really deep theological waters here. This is probably the most profound issue that the text addresses: the relationship between God's absolute will and the reality of human choice and accountability.
Here's the core of the problem. How can you have a day of judgment, which is based on our choices, if you also have the concept of Mashiach, the all-encompassing divine will? I mean, if God wills everything, how can any person be held responsible for their actions? The source material is very methodical here. It knocks down two extreme positions. First, it completely rejects pure fatalism, known as job. That's the idea that we're basically puppets on a string with no real choice. The source says, nope, that's not it. Second, it rejects tafwid, which is the idea of complete and total delegation. That would be like a clockmaker who builds a clock, winds it up, and then just walks away, having zero influence on it anymore. The source rejects that too. Instead, it presents this beautiful, nuanced middle path called al-amr bain al-amrayn, a matter between the two matters. The car analogy works great here. Think of it like this: God provides the car, the fuel, the road, and the laws of physics that make driving even possible. But you are in the driver's seat. You have the steering wheel in your hands. You're the one who chooses to turn left or right, to speed up or hit the brakes. God's will provides the entire system and your ability to act. But your choice, that's genuinely your own. This verse from Surah At-Takwir is absolutely key to understanding this. The source explains it not as wiping out human will, but as encompassing it. To go back to our analogy, this verse is saying that your ability to even want to drive, the existence of the steering wheel itself, your hands to hold it, that entire faculty of choice only exists because God wills it to exist. His will provides the stage and the actors, but our will writes the script we perform. His will enables, our will chooses. So after all of this incredibly detailed, forensic analysis of the verse and all its implications, the source text ends, well, not with a claim of absolute certainty, but with this profound statement of intellectual humility. As we can see from this final section, after laying out all the arguments, all the interpretations, the author kind of takes a step back. They basically say, look, our minds can grasp these principles, the scale, the weighing, the manifestation of deeds, but the full true reality of how these things will actually happen, that's beyond us. It's part of the unseen, known only to God. And that's why the whole detailed analysis doesn't end with a neat, tidy answer for every single mystery. It ends with a statement of praise. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And that's significant. It signifies a return to the source of all knowledge, a recognition of how vast the divine is compared to the very real limits of our human understanding.
So, what's the crucial takeaway from all this? This whole intricate framework of judgment, it's not just some theological puzzle about a far-off future. It is a profound lens for right here, right now. It forces us to ask a really tough question. If every single action, every intention, every thought is building a tangible reality that will one day be placed on a scale of absolute truth, what exactly are we building today? What weight will our lives actually hold?